All right, so welcome everybody. This is part of the AXR Atlanta meetup that Andy Eaton runs. And so I decided that it would be really exciting to do some sort of fast lightning talks. But the main reason why I did it was because I have a directed studies student in my under my tutelage, and I needed him to do a presentation in front of people, so that's why I made this happen. And then I asked other people to come and speak, and it was unbelievable how many people really wanted to talk. And so we really are trying to focus on AI and 3D virtual world kind of topics. So that's what we're going to focus on today, but hopefully we'll do this again. So you're at the Creative Media Industries Institute. You're in between the tower and the actual studio, our studio, I guess, lab. And we had a tour earlier today, but most of you all have been here. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. There's restrooms. If you go out this door and to the left, there's there's first the men's and then the women's. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about, my sort of futurist kind of weird stuff, but I'll do a little bit of an intro so that we can get into what everybody else is talking about. So this is the order that we're going to go in, and I'm going to let each person introduce themselves very quickly. I'm Elizabeth Strickler. I am jointly appointed at the Creative Media Industries Institute and the Robinson College of Business. So I'm going to talk about, sort of what I see as the future. I think that this slide is from Doug Shapiro, and the media industry is changing very rapidly right now, exponentially, and there's a lot of different things at play. But one of the things is that the media virtualization. Everything in the real world is being recreated in the virtual world, and we all know this. But since AI has come on board, it's not just a visual representation. It's worlds that react, that adopt, that adapt, that change, that evolve. So just like our real world does, the virtual worlds are not static anymore. And they're able to change and adjust. And the way I like to think of it is like atoms. Like a pixel is 2D, right? But the 3D atom and how that's building these virtual worlds that has, and how it connects to other atoms and how it's changing these virtual worlds that are ever evolving, that are responding to other influences. This is just a very interesting space that we're in right now. The presentations that you're going to see today are, really a lot talking about how these different worlds are being built right here, right now. But I'm trying to kind of give a vision of what's going to happen in the next, 3 to 10 years of where these worlds are going, and just kind of spark your curiosity there. I'll just play a touch of this Project Malmo. Nobody's timing me. I started early.
Platform for artificial intelligence research that is built on top of the game record. The vision of Project Malmo is that it will enable AI technology that can collaborate with humans. In the open world of Minecraft, there are endless possibilities for experimentation. It supports research on a range of approaches, such as reinforcement learning, deep learning, or symbolic AI. So researchers can compare and integrate different approaches to advance AI understanding, reasoning, learning, and communication. So here you can see how to get started. The agent is doing a very simple task, jumping and turning in the flat road. You don't have to be a skilled programmer to get started. Here we use an approach called reinforcement learning, which means that the agent is learning from trial and errors about the consequences of its actions.
Okay, the only reason why I'm showing you that is we're starting to see how 3D worlds and AI and reinforcement learning are happening in a sort of a very prototype, phase, which would be Minecraft, very square, not very high resolution. But think of that and where that's going as we continue to get more resolute in our virtual worlds. So, really, we can think of AI as the really just amplifying everything that we're building. So I always like to make a comparison of what's happening in the real world. You can build a building faster when you have, cranes and, tractors and whatever those things are that go like this. So now AI is sort of helping us just really power through the building virtual worlds. I'm not. So Blockade Labs, I'm not going to show that because it's not coming up, but it's really amazing. So that's virtual, that's just the world building. Then we get into characters. And I know several of you all are into kind of trying to understand what the virtual being is. But when the virtual being is not just a visual representation of yourself, but is a physical representation of your medical health data, and you can do simulations of the human, and where you collect the data and the visuals and make it reenact in the 3D space. But what are we learning about our bodies and predicting about our bodies if we, exercise more for a year? We might be able to simulate that, as we make these virtual worlds and then make these simulations. So, and we're going to see a lot about conversation and character today through some of the presentations. I'm not going to show you all this because it's going to take too long. So, and then storytelling is dynamic now. The story changes as the person goes through the game or does even goes through their purchasing process. What you're given would be different. But, now you can go and play Dungeons and Dragons, and the whole simulation will happen on the fly with you, with 3D worlds coming up. So, a lot of just sort of generative on the fly and things coming up specifically for you and new to the world, not on Rails. And then, how are we going to, this has been a long time talked about thing, which is how do you get something, a 3D asset from one virtual world to another virtual world? That's called seamless interconnectivity. Ready Player Me avatars are some of the first, avatars that are doing this kind of thing. So, but it's really important, and then being able to carry not just the avatar, but all the assets that go with it from game to game or world to world, just like you do in the real world when you walk around with, your clothes in this world. You don't change clothes when you go to another world. But the last thing that I really want to talk about is most of what we're talking about is large language models, is what we're talking about when you can do all this conversational AI or when you type into ChatGPT. And then we talk about text to image worlds. But what Fei Li is doing, and she's the one that actually started the first sort of large image model. She's now doing what she calls spatial intelligence models, which is getting the AI model to understand the world. So like when you go to Runway ML and you take, some mid-journey image that you've made that's totally unrealistic, and then it creates some really crazy video. It creates crazy video because it doesn't understand what our world actually does. So what Fei Li is working on is that just letting these 3D worlds understand that a human doesn't walk through a desk, that gravity exists, that just everything that we understand about the real world it's not just a video of that pixel doesn't look right there. It's that it understands that people sit in chairs, that chairs don't go through the, the ground. One more minute. Okay, cool. And so that's the worldview, and that's World Labs, and I think that's really fascinating. And that's really all I'm going to say is I just want to tee up sort of a big world as we go into all these different things being created right here, right now. And so next we're going to have, is it James? It's James. So we're going to have James Martin, and he's going to come up and put his computer on here and
I want you to know that Elizabeth Strickler cornered me into this, but I do have some really awesome stuff to share. So,
but you got to connect your computer.
It's Saturday. Now you can start in my 10 minutes.
No, I haven't started it yet.
Okay, so
I'll give you, do you want a 1 minute or a 2 minute warning?
I don't know, max 1 minute, 2 minute warning.
10 minutes is gonna be tough.
Yeah, sure.
Like 3 hours.
If any of you in here that know me know that I do not speak in short sentences. My name is James Martin. I'm a professor of practice. What is that? We're starting with Annie Eaton, ladies and gentlemen. Essentially, my name is James, and I'm one of the inaugural members of the CMI, the Creative Media Industries Institute, where you sit tonight. Essentially, I've been here. That's Candace Aldersfault and a little bit of Elizabeth Strickler's. And essentially, what I do is bring in industry workflows from the vibrant industry that is our industry here in Atlanta, for the most part, and essentially identify those, bring those workflows into the classroom. We develop curriculum around that. That's how we get kids out there and basically in production roles that are not production assistants, but more technical artists. Okay. How do we do that? We don't have a lot of time with students. I usually get them only in 2-year sprints. Okay, so essentially we utilize real-time workflows and basically identify what is an industry standard real-time workflow. And that allows us to bring in innovative tools into the classroom, and we've been able to partner with companies like Reallusion to do just that. Reallusion, and this is Kevin, and I know we're talking about rapid prototyping for characters, but I'm going to take a left turn to Albuquerque, and basically we're going to talk about rapid visualization for characters. My role is a motion capture technical supervisor on movies like The Electric State for the Russo brothers, $300 million production for Netflix a couple of years ago. We live and die by our data. And if we can't deliver that to vendors, then it's really not usable. Essentially, that's why when we identify these workflows, we try to make them as efficient as possible and hopefully ramp down that learning curve. AI has done a lot of that work for us. I think everybody can agree. Essentially here, I have an 11-minute video that we will just slam through very quickly, but I'm just going to say this is iClone. It is a real-time environment that allows us to focus on performance capture. So when they bring me Mixmaster Mike or Tyler and Josh from 21 Pilots or performances that matter from head to toe, we have to record that and capture that from head to toe. iClone's a very elegant place to do that. But that's going to kick us out video. And then now where can we go with that video? Well, we can go into tools like Runway and we can completely prompt things that are basically real-time animation and turn that into anything we want, anywhere we want, with anyone we want. And Runway has produced 3 new tools in this workflow for Act 1, and then also their new camera system as well is new and able to change up angles. But we can take these workflows and we can quickly just basically prompt out new and basically different scenarios for any of these visions. So this becomes very quick and easy to iterate. And Runway is one of those places that when you do that, you're starting to go from real-time animation to photoreal animation. This is a leap and bound forward for animators and riggers and modelers and technical artists. And really where my talk was focused originally was going from Firefly to Meshy to a rigged character. But this is a little bit more sexy, and I think a little bit more what this room is kind of looking for in terms of filmmaking AI. So when we iterate these things and we go through this, you can give it prompts like a variety of different things for where that performer is or where they might have an origin from. And we can also do this not just for facial animation, but full performance. And I love stunts. When James Cameron came, not Cameron, that's your buddy. When James Gunn came calling for Jimmy Eikhoff, it was all about a lot of fight sequences for Suicide Squad. So we took our team and we utilized real-time animation to start to visualize that. But what if we could visualize this in any type of scene or scenario? So essentially, as we do this, we're doing hand-to-hand combat, but I'm also going to share with you my prompts. So I can show you that by simply telling it dramatic cinematography, moody lighting, shallow depth of field, street corners combat scenes, street lights, graffiti-style color palette in the background, that we're able to generate multiple looks. So many that I cannot show you in 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, but I promise you, the variety of lighting, of rendering, of basic scene and set scenarios, and also the casting itself can change automatically. I do not have time for this 30-minute presentation, but I can slam through these pretty quickly just to show you all the different looks that you can achieve. So you want Spider-Man Noir? You can have it in 20 minutes if you have the motion and the composition. So where does the human element come in, right? Where does the artistic community, the creative community, and the gaming community still exist in this world? Well, we're composing these scenes. Composition is still king. And I can take this motion capture, I can take this performance capture, and I can relens it to be whatever I want it to be, wherever I want it to be, whoever I want it to be. And we can do this on a level playing field, which for students is awesome. Because now you have to walk in the room with an idea. Can you speak superhero comic with dramatic details, VFX, fine hash marks, in the style of pen, black and white comic? Can you? Have you? You gotta try these things. Because you have to be able to speak to these tools. And without being able to speak to them, you cannot get them to produce for you. So the human element's still super important to me as an artist. And I had an influencer that I love, the great Jonathan Wimbush, what up, essentially telling me, hey, what do you think about AI? When we were capturing Mixmaster Mike for a little game called UE Fortnite, something like that, right? And essentially, I said, Wimbush, what do you think about all this, man? And he said, I'm still going to create the way I like to create. And that was inspirational to me as a fine artist, because I'm still going to get my mocap the way I get my mocap. I'm still going to get my cameras the way I get my cameras. But now I have a different brush altogether that I can throw this at. And I can put that in front of you, and we can pitch or iterate so many different things so fast that took teams and a lot of talent. And we know the teams and talent cost what?
Money.
Thank you. And runway does it. Okay, so you're not showing this out for free, but there are lots of these options like Firefly that Adobe has put that out there for you for free. So can you go from an idea to a character rig and then also get visual quality like this from a tool in seconds now? Yes, you can. So the visual effects community and the animation community and the mocap community should not be scared of these things. You should be inspired by them. And you should be utilizing it. Because if you're not, you really don't have a voice in this conversation. You really just have an opinion. But for those of us out there that know the value of being able to iterate and get visuals that literally are basically unlimited by your prompt imagination or your vernacular in the production industry, it's something that I think that should be encouraging to everybody in the industry. And for me, I love real-time animation. I love visualization, and I could talk about this all night long. But I'm going to show you a couple of other things just very quickly, because we have thought about this from a production workflow point of view, and of course, the delivered vendors like Digital Domain or ILM, which are our last two points of contact for our last production project. And really, enhancing that visualization for them should be something where you can take content very quickly and again, iterate on so many levels that your clients could have 21 different samples in a single setting. Your VFX should have 21 different dailies in a single setting. 2 minutes? For 2 minutes. I'm not taking Q&A, but I promise you, I will talk to you a lot more after I get a couple of drinks in. Okay? Again, you can find me here at the Creative Media Industries Institute. I'm a proud inaugural member of this staff, and I really believe in our visualization mission. The visualization and storytelling tools that these artists have available to them now are more spectacular than ever before. And again, level's the playing field. So if you walk in the room with an idea, you can walk out with a visualization. Thank you. Who's next?
We can have a time. And you, tell me what to do. Just call me out.
I didn't plug in.
You still had a minute.
Yeah, I still had a whole minute.
Yeah.
I'm done listening to myself.
Okay, we're all just going through to get to the drink.
Also, yeah, right. Brandon's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I don't like that we can see ourselves on a camera
Oh,
right
yeah,
here.
can we turn that off?
We're being recorded, okay. One moment, please. Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh, that works. All right, stand by. Okay. Okay. Looking start. All right, so I am Annie Eaton. I guess Elizabeth already introduced me earlier, but in addition to running AXR Atlanta for now over 10 years, which is crazy, I'm also the CEO and founder of a company called Futurist, and we make immersive training production in virtual reality for companies like Walmart, Delta Airlines, Mars Wrigley, Georgia Pacific, to name a few. And we also celebrated our 10-year anniversary last month, and then and then Madeleine.
Yeah. So I'm the production manager at Futurist. I work for Annie, and Amy is actually my supervisor. I manage all of the client communications on active projects, and then I also have a hand in creating the schedule for both builds and quality assurance.
Yes. So we are going to be presenting today about conversational AI characters with two platforms that we love, Convai and 11 Labs. And we've been able to integrate them, which we'll be speaking to and giving a live demo of. So we will get started, and gosh, we already only have 9 minutes. So one of our problems, and of course working directly with training production, is creating scalable XR content is challenging. There's no doubt about that. The timelines are long, the budgets are expensive. I mean, it's great as a business owner, but also can be challenging when selling this stuff. So we are always looking for tools to optimize and expedite the process. So the two that we are going to be presenting about today, Convai is AI-driven characters. So we're able to create these characters. They actually support Ready Player Me and Character Creator. I don't know where James went. As well as some others, and directly integrate those into Unity and Unreal. So even before we came here today, I was in headset at my office speaking to a virtual me in a Quest 3. So it does work on mobile VR. You don't need, the fancy PC-based Vario devices, but that's one of the reasons we like it, because most of our work is mobile VR. And then 11 Labs, I'm sure many of you have used it, but if you haven't or are unfamiliar, it's an AI voice generator. They've got some amazing presets available, as well as some professionally trained voices. So I don't know how many of you know Bob Carter here in Atlanta, yeah? But he actually is on the 11 Labs platform as Carter, so go support him, because one of the things he told me a few months ago is that it's a fantastic way for voice actors to get paid, even though AI voice acting is taking over. So highly recommend 11 Labs in leveraging their professional actors, because you don't pay more and they get paid. So yay, creators. But we love that platform as well, and we use that for our training simulations. So Convai, instead of just talking about it, this is Madeleine's computer, so I'm going to ask her to help me navigate. I am going to show you a character that I made of myself, which I basically set this up in just a few minutes earlier this week. There I am, pretty basic. This is a Ready Player Me. I have not figured out how to turn the animations off. That button does not work, so ignore. I don't look like I want to fight you, but that's not what we're going for here. But I gave it a quick backstory. There's all sorts of things. I'm not going to go through all of them here today. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is the knowledge bank. So There are several things on here, but the one that is connected to my character is actually my book. And for those of you who don't know, I released a book earlier this year called The Extended Reality Blueprint. It's all about the XR production process, and it's 60,000 words straight from me and my experience over the past 10 years. Which, what better way to train my AI than give it my book? So I did load in my book and I paired it up, and I'm gonna see if I speak to it. I'm just gonna ask it a quick question and hopefully the volume's up, I think. Nope. Madeleine, this is her computer, I don't know if that's okay. We'll see, hopefully it doesn't blast your eardrums. What? Oh my gosh, hold it, okay. What is the best way to start when looking into producing a virtual reality training simulation?
When starting a virtual reality training simulation, a good approach is to first gain a solid understanding of the subject matter or process you want to train on. Experience it in the real world if possible, as this provides valuable insight into the user. Then, consider the interactivity and how it translates into a virtual environment. Using virtual reality to simulate environments and processes that are either too dangerous, expensive, or impractical to experience physically.
I don't know how to stop her. She's really chatty. Alright, we just might mute her for now. So you get the idea. Pretty good advice. Start by, experiencing it and finding something that's expensive or dangerous in the physical world to bring into your VR use case. That's advice I would give. It's almost like I wrote it myself. So anyway, that's Convai. Madeleine's gonna talk a little bit about 11 Labs and how they work together.
Awesome. So as Annie alluded to a little bit earlier, we also do all of the voiceover and sound effects, sourcing, editing, and mixing for all of our simulations. And one of the platforms that we use, or kind of the only AI platform that we use right now in our workflow, is 11 Labs. And we have been working with 11 Labs for a year and a half, 2 years at this point. And we have mainly used it for machine familiarization sims. So on this next slide, Annie and I thought through kind of all of the different use cases for VR, kind of the different simulations that we will design for our clients. One of those would be a narrative experience, so more of the story arc. Another one that kind of goes hand in hand with the narrative experience is the scenario-based training. So a lot of it is kind of a good day, bad day, if you followed a process or a procedure, kind of the results in how that was followed, which bleeds into process training too, but process training can be a little bit more cut and dry, which is why it's great for 11 Labs or AI voice generators, just because it is not nearly as emotive, and you can use 11 Labs to manipulate syntax to kind of get the voice over both the intonation, but then also the cadence, and also the emotiveness, exactly where you need it to be in order to have that impact on your user. The most obvious one would then be gaming for both 11 Labs and voice actors. For soft skills training, this is kind of where we get into the integration between Convai and 11 Labs, because with that integration, 11 Labs now allows you to clone your own voice. So there are various levels to which you can clone your own voice. I'm going to keep it short. There are various levels to which you can clone your own voice. One of them you have to, well, I guess you don't have to do the 30 minutes, but I did a 30-minute voice sample. Annie did a 5-minute voice sample, and we were able to create voice clones through that process that we were then able to create an API key in 11 Labs, input that API key into Convai, and then that voice showed up and we were able to integrate it into our avatars. So I was able to do it for mine just because it is important that we say that you have to have a pro account for both Convai and 11 Labs for this to work. And they only allow you to have one custom voice. So, yeah, that's all good. Oh. It's okay, I'm gonna try it.
Try one more time, and then we should finish back up.
So I will say yeah, we do have video backup.
That's why we have the video.
So I will say, I loaded this avatar not only with Annie's book, but then also virtual reality training guide that we put together, and then all of the storyboards from one of our clients.
Does not like us. Five seconds.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
go
we'll
full
play
screen.
it.
What I'm going to start my VR training. Hi, to start your VR training, you'll need
Me talking to me too, which is a little
Pro
weird.
headset and controllers. Make sure you have enough space for boundary creation and that your equipment is properly adjusted for comfort. If you're ready, we can go through the pre-training orientation together to ensure you're comfortable with the VR environment before diving into the main solution.
Madeline talking to Madeline. All right, who's next?
Thank you.
All right, Drew, I'm taking you out of your seat.
What do you want, 1 minute or 2 minutes?
That's what we have to
James, where did you?
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah, I'm just like, I didn't play it.
Okay. Oh, okay. So while Bobby's pulling up, anybody that was at the event last night, it was Bobby who was using 11 Labs and then pulling it into Unreal Engine to make the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you show, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but now you're gonna show how decision making is done in Unreal Engine for making movies. So a 3D platform to make 2D movies.
I'm gonna time myself too.
well, then I won't time you.
Yeah, you can get one.
I'll
Just
give you-
in case I'm like,
I'll give you
I get
one.
lost. Okay,
When you see the peace sign.
okay, right. I saw, this is a good volume?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll introduce myself. I'm Bobby Majoch. I'm a native from Atlanta. I received my bachelor's degree in philosophy from Emory University. After getting the bachelor's, I moved to Los Angeles. I spent a decade working on film sets. I did script coverage at studios. All this while I was pursuing a master's in philosophy. So I'm always had a lifelong interest in philosophy, and the talk is going to be kind of centered around that theme. My thesis in my master's focused on the interdisciplinary integration in psychology and philosophy of science. So having the opportunity to teach critical thinking at the university level deepened my interest in logical and rational frameworks. When I returned to Atlanta, I started a marketing LLC, and this path led me to the CMII. So essentially, I was working in design programs, Photoshop, After Effects. I wanted to learn more. I think actually I might have saw James's name as a certified real illusion trainer. So I actually just came here just to ask some questions, and eventually I spoke to the director of the program, and here I am. I'm in my third year of my master's right now. I'm also a research assistant, and I'm teaching level design. Real-time virtual production fascinates me because it transforms the speed and efficiency of creative decision-making. That's really what I want to talk about. I think the technology is amazing, but I just want to stop and think about all the decisions I make when I'm creating something. Today, I'll approach this from my perspective as a director, writer, and cinematographer, examining how it fundamentally changes our creative process. So I like to make films in Unreal Engine, and what I did here is essentially I screen recorded myself for roughly 10 minutes working on this production. I was inspired by Shogun, and I'm creating a production in a Japanese mountain village. So what you're going to see is roughly a minute or two of kind of looking around the world, exploring, what I can do. And then 2 minutes in, I start to play with cameras. I look at angles. I think about shots and lighting. So I'm going to hit play right now. Like I said, for me, this is just kind of interesting to think about how I make decisions. I look at this again, how many decisions I make. So really the principal theory I'd like to start with is Keith Simonton's equal odds rule. It's a principle that revolutionized our understanding of creative production. The rule states that quality is a probabilistic function of quantity. So essentially, each creator, regardless of their field, maintains a relatively fixed ratio of successes to attempts throughout their career. Shakespeare wrote masterpieces like Hamlet alongside less remembered works. Kubrick made 2001: A Space Odyssey, but also Fear and Desire. So basically, what this is stating is that the more attempts we make in a creative process, inevitably, this leads to more master works. This is not just correlation, it's mathematical necessity. If your success rate is 10% and you make 10 attempts, probability suggests 1 success. Make 100 attempts and you'll likely achieve 10 successes. The logic is irrefutable. So basically, I'm approaching this from the standpoint of efficiency and how much I can do in a limited period of time. So when I'm working in a real-time production software like Unreal Engine, you can see I'm moving in real speed. I don't have to wait for the rendering. I'm basically location scouting right now. So historically, our ability to leverage this rule has been constrained not by theory, but by practical limitations. Film directors might only get a few attempts at a complex shot. Cinematographers might only try 3 or 4 lighting setups before time runs out. And these constraints are not creative, they're logistical. So what you're watching right now represents a fundamental break from these limitations. For the first time, we can test Simonton's theory at an unprecedented scale. This visualization demonstrates not just technological capability, but a new logical framework for creative exploration. So basically, what I'm saying here is, so now I'm into my camera work here. I have all my lenses, I have different shots, I set up a sequencer, and there's just no lag. I'm just moving at the speed of my vision, the speed at which I want to, and this is different from typical film productions. And I'm not saying that this process replaces traditional film productions, but what I'm saying is I think it changes the way we approach it, thinking about it in a systematic fashion. Because on a typical film production, you're immediately constrained by multiple factors. Location access, permits, available shooting hours, creative limitation, budget reality. But the deepest constraint is human memory and visualization. Even the most experienced director or cinematographer can only hold a finite number of possibilities in their mind. we're making decisions based on limited mental pre-visualization, trying to imagine how elements might come together. So this is real-time pre-visualization. We're not constrained. We're moving in real time. We're picking shots as we go. And of course, we're not going to replace formal storyboarding and concept art, but this gives us so many different ways because to look at the process, because I think typically we're constrained by what would be called decision compression, a forced reduction of creative possibilities due to practical limitations. It's not that filmmakers don't want to explore more options, they literally cannot within the bounded system of traditional production. When we remove the constraints, we fundamentally transform the creative process. We move from a linear path of decisions to an expansive web of possibilities. So basically, now that we're moving into this real-time world, we have to explore the fundamental philosophical questions that come from this. And this is kind of my desire to do this. Like I said, even to take a second and to see how I make decisions, I think for myself, this was an interesting practice. Just thinking in how many decisions I actually make. If we accept that creativity exists within a possibility space, a multi-dimensional space of potential choices, traditional production operates within the boundary rationality. Boundary rationality manifests in two critical ways. First, through time limitation, and the exponential cost of undoing prior creative choices. So in this, if we make our creative decisions in a traditional film set, we are basically, if we think about it, I like to break things down into sets and settings. So basically, on a traditional film set, if we make each major creative decision, we will require approximately 30 minutes of setup. An 8-hour film production day yields roughly 16 major decision points. With a 10% success rate, we achieve perhaps 1.6 optimal decisions per day. But in real-time 3D, the fundamental formula transforms. Setup time approaches 0. We can branch multiple creative paths simultaneously. The limiting factor becomes purely cognitive bandwidth. So basically, I like to think about these things. I try and be efficient as possible. I think about how many seconds, how many minutes I'm using, and from what I've seen, from what I've experienced with being traditional film sets, and how much we have to take time to set up cameras, set up rigs. We are spending a lot of time that we could be using on creative bandwidth that we might now, I think our limitation now is just going to be by our own minds. This is what I would call iterative acceleration. So basically, each decision becomes exponential. Each decision informs and improves the probability distribution of subsequent choices. We're no longer operating in linear decision space, but in exponential possibility space. The profound implication is that we've moved from a bounded to an unbounded optimization problem. We're no longer asking what's the best choice we can make within our constraints, or rather, what's the theoretical optimum across all possible choices. So basically, the future vision for this is what I want to call the logic of creative abundance, a fundamental reformation of how we understand creative decision making. If creativity operates on a probabilistic distribution, and our ability to explore these distributions is now theoretically unlimited, then we're witnessing the emergence of a new creative calculus. We move from discrete to continuous creative functions. So essentially, what I'm trying to show is that when we move in this space, I think the technology is amazing, and I think with this for me is, borderline PreViz. This could be the actual shots I'm using. But I think as creatives, and we're going to see some amazing technology here. And I think part of it is we take the time to just marvel at how amazing the technology is. And I think the settings in Unreal look very pretty and it's very beautiful. But I think for me, the interest for myself is just to focus on the decision making and think about how exponential our decision making is going to be. And that will actually introduce a lot of new problems. But I think we need to rearrange our framework into thinking, how much can we possibly do given the amount of time we have, and to think about our probability of rate of success. And I think, how much time do I have?
9 seconds.
Okay, well, that's pretty much it, but this is just, like I said, my camera's going to the scene, and this will probably eventually be out, so thank you for your time. I'm sure
Peter's gonna introduce himself, but Bobby's talk was pretty amazing. You know, it's interesting, if you read the book, Get the Picture, which is all about trying to understand exactly what art is, it's all decision-making. But he just decided what is decision-making in a world of abundance, which is just remarkable. And can't wait for that to come out, Bobby. So you should be good.
Yeah, get there.
Oh, you know what, this is happening.
Oh, okay, yeah, that helps.
It really is together. You're up.
There I am.
Cool.
So, I'm not gonna use the mic. I could use the mic. So my name is Pete Scott. I worked at this little place called Turner down the road with those great logos on the screen, the building, and I was running emerging media and innovation. And so my job, as well as I could within the confines of a goofy company, was to look in the future and to sort of figure out how could we basically move our content to different platforms. I was there a long time, about 32 years, and I decided that I wanted to kind of go play in the real world. And so I developed a company called Play Anywhere. And where we think there's a fundamental problem is basically training data. How do people get compensated for training data? And what we decided to do was create a platform that will tokenize the content when it gets ingested into a Gen AI platform. And then every time that gets basically queried against, we can generate a royalty payment out of that. So trying to protect the creators in all the different ways. I think you're seeing a lot of interesting stuff going on in this world. Not sure if you guys are following the news, but Robbie was a big one, right? Where OpenAI was championing, like we won the, I'm gonna say they won the battle, but they didn't win the war. I'm thinking that in the future, as all you guys are becoming sort of unbelievable creators. And Elizabeth, I think you're onto something here. There's a lot of cool people, and I think each one of the people in this room could speak for 45 minutes. So we should celebrate everybody in this room and figure out a way. And maybe we do this like on a monthly basis, because it will just get bigger. Because I think Atlanta is super, super fertile for really great minds and great experiences, and I think we could share that. So that's just something I wanted to put out there. So the idea is, not sure if you guys followed this, but basically OpenAI won the case against basically leveraging content produced by raw media as training data. And they weren't getting compensated for it. But we think, more appeals will happen, where copyright will come into play. So you guys know, basically we call it visual plagiarism, where basically they're taking content that's done by creators and basically being run through all the different Gen AI platforms. SpongeBob is a great example. Anybody who's sitting in front of DALL-E today can literally put an animated clown, and guess who pops up? This guy. And Paramount doesn't get a nickel for any of this compensation for SpongeBob. I think everybody in this room maybe believes that there should be some kind of compensation for SpongeBob on an initial license or on the derivative that gets created. The news, Sarah Silverstone, our friends from the New York Times are suing basically OpenAI to basically get paid for all the training data that is uploaded. This is that example I was telling you. Literally, you could go in and type in, animated clown or, Golden Droid, the classic sci-fi movie, standing in front of a large spaceship. And there he is. This is real. Literally, you can find this stuff when you basically make the queries. This other one is, video game plumber, RoboCop. So this is all IP that is basically being generated, all these different scenarios. I'm going to go through this because I know we're in 10 minutes. So same thing, animated toys, right? And so they're pulling a lot of this, and there's a reason for it, because the prompts are basically learning more and more, and when people don't basically know how to use a prompt correctly, they're basically using icons they know to basically get the Gen AI platform to start working. I'm going to scoot ahead because I want to play our video that basically, here we go, sorry. So this is what the platform does. I'm curious what your thoughts are after. Obviously, we'll have a couple cocktails at the bar, we can talk, but this is what our platform basically does.
AI engines are busy ingesting creative content from the web to enhance generative AI learning models. But disputes between open AI platforms and creators fill the news. Creators want consent, credit, and compensation for their work. While open AI companies want to prevent legal conflicts. Play Anywhere, AI rights tracking and royalty platform. We secure and monetize IP training sets for AI. Here's how it works. Step 1. We work with IP creators to meta-tag, digitize, and upload their content, books, art, or video to our platform. Step 2. We append a unique identifier or token to the content and register it in the Play Anywhere registry. This allows us to track usage when the content is used to train AI models and machine learning algorithms to make accurate predictions for decisions. Step 3. We sell this training data set to Gen AI platforms, and our clearinghouse tech invoices and collects associated license fees. So, for example, when a user generates a prompt query to create an image inside Dolly, create an image of SpongeBob holding an American flag in the desert. That query travels to a Gen AI server where it activates our platform's embedded token. The server validates that it's creating a derivative from the IP, and then our clearinghouse issues and collects a license fee and generates the output. Play Anywhere is the intermediary system that bridges the IP gap, liberating generative AI companies while compensating creators. We've been here before. 15 years ago, YouTube was mired in legal battles with rights holders. But the introduction of Content ID transformed these adversaries into allies, giving YouTube a unique edge in online video. Between July 2021 and June 2022, YouTube paid more than $6 billion to rights holders globally. Likewise, Play Anywhere will encourage collaboration in a complex ecosystem, ensuring fair revenue sharing and maximized consumer experiences. Play Anywhere, AI rights tracking and royalty platform.
So that's what we do. Did that make sense? That sort of resonate with everybody? So what's interesting is it's not like Zillow where you can drive down the street and know how much the Gen AI platforms are paying. So that's been a fun ride, to be really honest with you, is they are paying those license fees now. And so we're working with them. And I think you're seeing more and more of the Gen AI platforms running out of data. And so they're sort of willing to write the check. The key is what is that rate card? So we're working with them to kind of do those things. I know you probably have 1,000 questions and I'd love to talk to you about yours, but I think the key is as you start to create content with all these wonderful tools that I've seen today, you're gonna wanna protect that stuff. And we have a platform that enables that to happen. So that's it. But again, we'll talk later, but thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks.
Cool.
Super awesome.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
And I'll time you. Do you want 1 minute or 2 minutes? 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Robert Paraguasso. I work here at GSU with the CETLO department, Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning in Online Education. So I work across all disciplines with all professors across Georgia State making content for students. Mostly it's iCollege. So I make a lot of animations. I'm a 3D animator. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been at Georgia State for 4 years, and I'm an alum from 2004. So building learning worlds in spatial I/O. So I've been trying to move more towards interactive gaming in our iCollege courses and trying to get more interactivity because 3D gaming is already part of our students' media literacy. They already know how to play this stuff. They've been playing it forever. And as I think as generations go on, as time goes on, there's going to be more and more as everyone sort of plays games. It just sort of becomes part of what we do. And online gaming is a great place for students to interact with each other before getting to class, after you get to class and know people, sort of an ancillary way to network, collaborate, and work and get to know your people. So the need, Perimeter College came to us at Sehgal saying, hey, we want some sort of interactive orientation. Because I went to the orientation, it's interesting, it's all like a regular, you go to class, you go to the school and they sit down in the auditorium, they tell you all the things, where to park, financial aid stuff, and you go to different little sessions, and it's a lot of being there and having to sit and wait, and not a lot of interaction, not a lot of engagement I saw. So they asked us to build some sort of game for it. So I thought Spatial I/O is a great tool for, I've been building cinematics in Unreal for a long time. I've never really built much games, I'm not a coder. A lot of what I do has nothing to do with coding at all. And so Spatial I/O is an accessible platform for people like me who are 3D artists, but not really coders. So it builds on Unity, which I didn't know at all, but it's very similar to Unreal Engine. And they have a template file that you download and watch a bunch of tutorials and you can build what you want out of what they give you. Spatial I/O is free to use, easily embeddable in iCollege or any other website, and promotes student interaction because it's an engine. You upload your Unity file and it already has the avatar system built in, the coin collection, the interface where your game, it's sort of like a YouTube for games. So let me go to show you the example. Okay, so if you want to find this game, there's a Spatial I/O app on your phone, download it on iOS. You can search for Perimeter College online. This is a work in progress. It opens up. Working off my hotspot. There it goes. So the whole point is to not really make a trick, like a test, but try to teach as me at home as well. So follow the correct statements to find the 4 tokens, follow incorrect statements to get lost. You can see that there is a large map that I built in Blender and Unity. And what you do is you go, this is a work in progress. I've only got enough content for financial aid right now. So you follow, okay, so yeah, I go down this way. And so it's a lot about kind of not so much tricking as much as teaching as you kind of go. So loans are not that much. So it's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to take only a few minutes to kind of cover the topics like financial aid can include housing costs. I didn't know that. Interesting. Grants are essentially free money, other than and that's true. So then we get to the end of one of the 4 spots. And so I have 4 tokens at the end of each of 4 topics. You collect the token, and it goes pew. And then you teleport back to the beginning, where you can, so there will be more content. Right now, I also have, there's only one danger, there's only one way to die, and that is the secret party room. So eventually all of this will be correct answers, and then some incorrect answers will take you down. So I wanted to have sort of an extra thing to do, not just a learning, but also some sort of a social fun area.
You know that's where we're all going.
Yeah. Gotta go danger. Do it. For some reason, it's open. No, it's a secret dance party. Saves me. And then don't jump in the hole. sort of, you can go to the dance party, you can play with your friends, you can do other stuff. But the whole concept was engagement, just doing a thing, running around, not really having any difficulty, but having fun in like about a 10-minute long session, sitting down and learning about financial aid, where to park. You do have to go to class on the first day. And sort of this is basically a prototype for what I'm hoping to build more of. But the basic process was mid-journey concept art. I just didn't know what this was going to look like, so I did a bunch of concepting. Sort of picked black with laser lights on it. I just did a free image search of a maze. Just picked one and then put it into Blender and extruded all the walls, made all the floors, made this, you can see the secret dance party underneath there, and then the 4 main topic teleportation point token areas. And then I brought it all to Unity, which is, you can see that there's a quest selected there, and you can build, that's how you get away without coding. It has all these tools built in, like you build a quest and then you add the tokens to the quest, and it's all very, very simple. Like I didn't have to type in anything to make any of this happen. It's all sort of node-based and tool-based within Unity, which was, again, Spatial provided tutorials that taught me how to do all this stuff very easily and quickly. And then you just publish it to Spatial.io with this little toolkit, and then it's published. And then anyone can go in and play it. Once you can search for it now, it isn't on like the main homepage yet. Once it's done, I'll publish it big like that. But the future potential for online 3D games at GSU, I hope, is we'll do more of this for more kinds of courses. We've got interest from the CSI development to do like some crime scene investigation stuff we've done before. We do a lot of criminal justice at CLO, so we can also, potentially students could also create their own educational games as part of the courses that could work for other courses. And at some point, the hope or the goal would be to have some sort of pixel streaming server where it wouldn't be locked to Spatial.io, but a Georgia State sort of platform. So hopefully that's far in the future, but we're working towards it slowly as we kind of develop and things change rapidly, constantly. But yeah, that's my talk.
So this is the infamous Joel Mack. He's 1/3 of actor capture. He's an MFA student, a graduated undergrad student, and currently a faculty at an Atlanta public school, which I don't know the name of.
Fulton County.
Fulton County,
Yeah,
sorry.
but Promise Career Institute.
Yes.
We opened up down in College Park. Magnet School is our first year, where we're basically teaching a whole bunch of skills like this. We even got welding as well from a whole different side of things. So it's just basically to open up high schoolers to these technologies and these skills at an earlier age, so they're doing iterations versus learning things when they get to my age or when I started college. So
Let's see. So or USB-C.
This has to be the first one.
Okay. Do you want a 1 minute or a 2 minute warning?
2 minute
All right,
definitely.
I got you.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Joel Mack. I had my introduction already in there, so I won't put it into my time. But today I'm going to be showing you guys Rapid XR PreViz for games. Now, this is going to be a live demo, but I'm going to show it without the live part because I'm going to be sending a deployment to Unreal. Anyone here is a developer knows what that can turn into. So I'm going to first go in and explain a little bit about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and then I'm going to go back and actually do it to show you guys it. So, let's do a quick here's my table of contents right here about me software's demo. All right. I've been in game development for about 8 years now. I started in Unity back in 2016, then I discovered Unreal in 2017, and I actually started off in AR, so I was making a lot of stuff on my cell phone, which at the time was a Samsung, and did a lot of development through there, and then I started to dive a little bit more into the headsets, and started to make some really cool things in VR, and then discovered mixed reality, which was like, okay, this is where I got here right here. I'm gonna skip a lot of this because we already talked about that. So this is my company, which we started here. These are actually all founders right here, and some of our people working with us over here as well. We primarily focus in motion capture, but we have dwelled into this new world of artificial intelligence head first, which has been a really cool experience because we're seeing how our previous workflows work with this new workflow, and we're doing it all together. And we're applying these not only in the classrooms or teaching it to students, but also in the production field as well. Not for AAA. I don't know if there's like this is recorded, so we know we're not using this for critical stuff right now.
For licensing purposes.
So these are some of the softwares we're going to be kind of going over. So the first one, which is the AI side of it, is going to be the 3D AI. 3D AI Studio is similar to what you guys might have seen. Like Meshy is a big one that I see a lot of people be utilizing. I'll just introduce you to one, Rodin. It's a lot of different software basically to take image and convert that into a 3D model. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here. But I'm going to be focusing on doing it to characters. So over here is Midjourney, where we're going to be getting an image online, taking that, putting it through Midjourney to get the image to look the way we want to, add things we want to, taking that back, putting it into 3D AI, and then deploying that over into Unreal Engine, rigging it inside AccuRig so we can actually have a rig for it and translate all that so you can have a pipeline, which is something I love. I love doing pipelines, man. Pipelines are so cool because you would think you could do everything in one engine or one software, but then you could figure out these two other softwares, amplify that 10 times. So I love pipelines. So demo-wise, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to tab over and I'm just going to explain the process, which I've done with one, and then we're going to see what my time is, and then we're going to try to do it with real one. So my process, what I do, so like in this case, I just typed in a fantasy night, something that I would find on Google, and I get that image, right? I'm like, okay, this is the image I want to use. I want to bring this into the software. So in this case, I'm going to bring it into Midjourney. So this, as you see, it's just like a mid-body shot of the person. So over Midjourney, I take that image so you can kind of see. This is the image right here that I utilize, and I put this into Midjourney, and I actually go through and I put a prompt in here to kind of see what can I do to make it so it is usable for 3D AI Studio. So in this case, I went through a bunch of different prompts to find. Midjourney has a thing about not doing like full bodies, even if you tell it. You know, I said full body, I was like, nah. So what I found was just the easy way to do it was literally to start using the zoom function. Zoom function works really well. Just zoom out until you get to the full body itself. So this is the generations that I made, which I really liked, which kind of gave me what I was looking for. I wanted to avoid reflections because I didn't want to mess up the 3D AI studios. So, and over in 3D AI Studio, you can kind of see some of the generations I have here. But from one of those images, this is actually what I generated right here. So this generation is not rigged. This is just a model as it is, right? So there are a multitude of rigging softwares that you can utilize for this, but I am a Revolution baby. So I use AccuRig for all my rigs. And what's really cool about that is once I rig up one of these, then my skeleton can be utilized for every other thing I rig through it into Unreal. So I don't have to worry about multiple skeletons inside of my engine. I just have to work with one skeleton that I'm shifting over with. So if I come over here to close this into Unreal here, we can kind of see. So what I have here, I've already programmed all the stuff to make this work on a headset. I'll also show that. I have need more than 10 minutes, but what I was able to do was once I rigged that character, I brought them in here and I used Unreal Engine's IK rig functionality to basically bring that to life to be utilized on an animation pack that I got off of the marketplace. In this case, it was the boss animation, so you can kind of see this is kind of what the animation that I wanted to use for it. And come over to this guy. Oops. And this is the demo size, so I actually want to see my time is
3.5 minutes.
Ooh. All right. Let's see what we can do here. So basically, I have a blueprint here, right? I'm opening up this blueprint, or I have my character here. Over here in the IK retargeter, I actually retargeted my character, which I created inside of 3D AI Studio, to actually come over and just follow the IK rig functionality over here, so I can get animation which matches. So I don't have to worry about getting custom animation for this. You know, I'm just utilizing something I've had online to put this together. So what I have, which I'm trying to see if I should even go through this, honestly. Let's see. I'm gonna try to show you guys a little bit of the XR. So it's the XR preview. So I did the AI side and I want to show the XR side. It's gonna be 3 minutes. Let's see what I can get out for you guys. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just start this casting so you guys can kind of see what I see. So, you know, say hello to yourself. Hey guys. So what I have here is let's see. Yeah, this is what I didn't want. I got to step out in front of you guys. So what's up, guys? I'm in the space now. So okay, I'm actually already in here. Where you at? There he is. Oh, okay. So this is I already deployed this. This is my deployed person by themselves, right? And the reason I go through this workflow is that there are a lot of developers who develop but then don't have the artistic side. And what this allows is those developers to actually add the art side to their pitches for design that they're making rapidly. So you don't have to worry about, dang, how do I do this? How do I shift this over here? It's like, oh, okay, I have this image, I have this representation of what I want, and I want to send this over into my visualization. In this case, my guy fighting on a cube, right? So now I need to bring this live. Now I want to put a character onto this, right? With that character, which I already created with 3D AI Studios, now in this blueprint, let's pause it real quick. I can come over here, I can hide this. So I have this thing called the disappearing act. People who know me know what this is. It basically just hides the mesh from me. But I can bring up the one that I have made right here. It's a little offset, some of the things right there, but nothing that you can't fix with a couple shifts inside the bone positioning. But now if I come over here and I unpause this, we can see our character is actually working with that rig there. There's a bunch of extra blueprint stuff, but I'm not going to go over that to have this go into. But now I can compile this and save this. And I can see that I have my character in here, which I just generated through Midjourney and put into this system here. So this is probably where I'm going to have to cut off because now I'm going to have to deploy it, right? So first, let me just make sure that
30 seconds.
No, you can steal a couple of my.
Yeah, you got this.
You're good.
I'm gonna push this through. While this is pushing through, I'm gonna double back into 3D AI Studio to show you some of those features. I feel like I kind of jumped over the AI side a little bit. I explained what I did, but I didn't explain what the tool is. So while this is deploying, we're gonna let that deploy and send over. I'm gonna come back over to my other one. Oh no. Okay.
You get one more minute.
You get 1
One
minute.
minute. All right. So I'm gonna do a quick rundown of 3D AI Studio and why I use this over some of the other ones. So one of the things I love about 3D AI Studio is obviously this feature right here, where I'm able to create these rigs. But something that's really cool. So like, let's say if I went to image to 3D, this is what I utilize for it. We have our 3 different ones: preview, sketch, and regular. Regular is what I use for when I'm bringing my characters over into Unreal, because this is cool. Like if I can jump down to advanced options, no advanced options for V1 sketch because it's a sketch. Go over to my regular. It's a beautiful option called able T and A pose for human-like characters. So that makes reading it so much easier, you know, comparatively if you have someone like stuck like this, and you gotta like go through and weight paint them and put them all down and everything. We don't have to do all that. So if I was to like, let me see if I can just bring this out here. Wait. So like if I was to bring in this one, just drag this in here, and I'm gonna click the beautiful button right here. I'm gonna generate it. So, and it's gonna generate this. While that's generating, I would kind of want to show some of the other things. So many things, you know, I have something deploying, have something deploying there, and then let me see if this even finished. All right, this is finished. So I can finish it with this, and then we can move on because I showed some of the features.
Elizabeth's okay with that.
I'm just gonna show it.
One more minute.
Okay. It'll be 30 seconds. So again, I'm gonna come back over here to my viewport. I'm gonna put this in crop so you guys can see it in a cinematic way. And of course, that's what makes it great. That's how developers developing world works. So, cast this again. Alright. So, walk out to the space again. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
So, now I just have my character over here now. All in all, the process, the time it takes for me to get from an image to a 3D model inside of Unreal Engine, and this I time myself doing this, it takes all 15 to 16 minutes to actually get to that phase, you know, with the generation and everything. So this is why I call it the rapid PreViz, because you know, you try to deploy that on the store, they're gonna, I mean, someone might buy it, but I mean, I would always say it's not a really good.
Need anything?
No, I came very, very high tech prepared, guys. Ready to plug this in.
I'm gonna just leave this right here. That's good.
Yeah, all good. We're gonna roll it back. Old school. Hi, how you doing? I love seeing all these friendly faces. Hello. So my name's Chad. I run a studio called Trick 3D, and we're coming close to 20 years.
Wow.
Feeling very crazy. So Trick 3D, my original pitch was, look how photorealistic this image is. And people go, oh my God, that's not a photo. And it was made all in 3D. And that's where we started. We did ArcViz. We eventually have moved into digital twins for enterprise, so Delta Airlines. We have their entire fleet as digital photoreal models. And then leverage those across the whole industry. On the other side of Trick 3D, do 3D animation, original content primarily. So when all this generative AI stuff started showing up, I was a little bit nervous. Because I was like, wait a minute, that looks just like what we do. And so I started playing a lot of real quick catch up. A lot of like, okay, how do I do it? What's it capable of? And just doing the like tool learning that I've sort of just already been doing with whatever new tools came out. And could never keep up. Every time I thought I got it, it was like the next month, immediately something completely new. And I was like, good Lord, I cannot keep up with this stuff. So I've been really getting myself to a point of, one, trying to do that, but also what's a framework for just sort of how to think of this as an industry, as an artist. So I'm gonna kind of zoom out a little bit into a little less of the weeds. I think we've sort of seen a lot of amazing things that are capable, and those are all gonna be even more amazing a month from now, and a year from now, we don't even know, like, can't even project that far anymore. Future casting has become quite difficult. So I'm trying to align, one, with where's it all coming from? What's the source? So I'll start with the title of the talk, where I sort of, to come into this conversation, was generative AI, tool or artist? So let's start with a show of hands. Tool, artist. So the vast majority say tool. That's where I started. And I think that there is a kind of fundamental misalignment. And you can go down the rabbit hole of why that is, whether it makes us, we just don't want to face it because we're artists and we don't like the idea of the challenge that's coming. But was forced to sort of face it head on, so I'm going to share some stories around that. But before I get into my story, just that looking at the industry as a whole, the source of where this is coming from, the misalignment is there's a lot being said to us that here are all these tools. Here's all these cool new things you can do as an artist, as a company. When you kind of get past that selling point and you look at the actual roadmap of a company like OpenAI, of which they have just fairly recently released a 5 stages that they envisioned their roadmap to be. But they've always been very transparent that the end is AGI, artificial general intelligence, or artificial superintelligence. And whether people believe it's going there or not, in a lot of ways, it kind of just depends on if someone assigns it that. Do I just believe it to be that? So I'm just going to share quickly what these 5 stages of theirs are, so we can kind of see where we're at and how it might affect us. So OpenAI, 5-level plan. 1, bots. So that's ChatGPT. We all kind of familiar with what that is. And it's essentially just conversational AI. So immediately we're all like blown away when that first came out. 2 is where we're at right now, kind of right on the front end of it, which is assigning critical thinking to the bots. So currently, the hallucinizing, whatever, hallucinating. Thank you. But it's just sort of guessing what the next thing was going to be, and everyone was trying to okay, but this is what it is, because now I've learned it. But in the background, they were training the next thing, which is it's feeding itself questioning and reasoning before it, after you feed it the prompt, before it responds, it's actually thinking about it now. So the O1 model is the latest one, and that is critical thinking. What they're doing in the background right now, and is coming very quickly, is agents. And so agents is do things. So that's a multimodal where we start taking all these pieces where we can see all the different little parts of AI, but they start interacting with each other to actually do things. So then when Joel's walking through all those steps, you assign those steps to the AI and the AI runs through and does all those steps. So that's not here yet, but that's on their roadmap. Stage 4, innovators. So invent things. So that's moving past just doing the things that we're asking you to do, but now, okay, well, based on what you're saying, let's actually create new things, whether that's software, whether it's creative, whether it's movies, whatever that might be. And then 5 is run things, systems, organizations. Take all the agents and all of the innovation they can do and actually assign them as an organization. There have been sort of critical white papers already written on it. You just take bots as they are now, not even with all the critical thinking, and the first test was in a hospital setting, and you assign roles to all the bots, as we've all in prompt engineering been taught to do, and then let them start interacting with each other. When you ask the question on a medical level, then it was about 30% better response than just asking GPT itself. So up to you if you want to believe they're going to make all those stages, but I think it's important for us to kind of consider as artists, as companies, where we're at in that. So their goal is to create the sentient being of some type, and we're all talking about it as tools, and they're selling it to us as tools. There's just a fundamental misalignment of where they're going and what they're telling us it is. And so for me, where I first encountered this is just real world, in the topic of, is AI going to take my job? Running a studio, we faced it last summer doing a job. So part of what Trick 3D does, we'll take the virtual set, photorealistically, do a real photo shoot of people on the green screen and put those people into the set. And so we're doing that with Virgin Australia in Australia. So working remote, so already we're kind of in a digital landscape. And the traditional pipeline, as we would normally use it, would go through concept art and then lighting designs. And I would work with an artist, and I would say, okay, Jasmine, we're working on concept art. It's going to be this angle. I've already sort of got an idea. Here's the cast. Here's the props we need. Just give them all the information. And then 2-3 days later, I would get some concept art put into shots. In this case, very clearly, there was an option to not do that. To Stable Diffusion, where I just gave the exact same direction, and I got immediately feedback. And then I put it at about 10x because the quality required a lot of like iteration, and still does. And very quickly, the client got used to it. Oh, 2 minutes, thank you. I can jam through it real quick. So where we're at with that is eventually the client moved all the way towards like, oh, you can do that. And by the time we had done the shoot, they were changing wardrobe, they were adding arms, they were adding hair, like everything was changing because they knew they could. And so that's moving very quickly. So all that to say, where we're at now, I really believe that we have to accept it for what it is and start to envision it as an artist. And instead of thinking of it as an artist with tools, that's what we're sort of being taught and thinking of it right now, start thinking of it more as a director and crew. And as we start to assign the crew positions of whatever it is you're creating, some of those are gonna go AI. And so it's important to like just accept that and start to work with it from the context of what it is. And instead of being caught off guard as I started to be, I think you'll be a little bit more prepared. So lastly, I'll just say within that, if it's an artist and you're thinking of it as that, how do you keep up with this rapid, like what's next? And I really think it just is human. It's like treat it like a coworker. And so this applies to working with coworkers as well as AI, but it's very much leans on what others have said, which is iteration. But one, you have to have a clear goal. Like don't just, whatever, just have a clear goal. And then be very skeptical of whatever gives feedback from that and challenge it. And then you have to iterate your face off. Like everything right now, it's up to like 100 to 1 to get stuff out of video to video to make it work. And don't believe everything they sell because it's not all there yet. Like you can do video to video, but it's hard to be consistent shot to shot. So it will be there, just not quite there yet. But you need to test, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people are overlooking is test against your goal and then iterate. So that's the general process. So I'll just leave it at that. But I just want to zoom out, look at it holistically, understand a little bit further out where we're going and how does that affect how we think of AI and how we want to work with it moving forward.
All right, so last but not least, we have Jeasy Sehgal, and he will probably introduce himself, but I'll introduce him to you. He is here from Australia, New Zealand.
No, thank you.
So been here 2 years, 3 years?
Just completed 2 years.
2 years. And he's one of our professors of practice, and he also he's an Unreal certified trainer, and we're an Unreal certified something or another.
MFA program at CMII is now an Unreal Academic Partner Program.
Yeah.
A Silver Unreal Academic Partner Program.
Yeah.
So
You tell us when you're ready.
yeah, give me 1 second.
And a virtual production extraordinaire, and he's going to take it away.
Hi everyone, how's it going? Good. So I'm the last one. Everyone's tired. And it's a hard act to follow, right? The amazing talks that's happened. So I almost did not come to do this talk because I've just finished professional development training for faculty and staff at Georgia State University. So I'll try to run through as much as possible. And I've got some slides and then I've got a prototype. And if everyone is not in a rush to get to by George and get the trains in their hands, you could come up and try the prototype as well. So how do I present it here? All right, come on, present. That's present. Okay. Right. So, as Elizabeth introduced me, my name is Jeasy Sehgal. I'm an award-winning international cinematographer, professor of practice here at CMII for the MFA program. Unreal Engine self-authorized instructor partner, and also an associate researcher with the Collaborative Human AI Center here at Georgia State University as part of the Department of Defense grant. And I have been working with a team of 7 research assistants from computer science department as well as some from the CMII on my ongoing research, which I call Anima Sentio. So our research seeks to bring history back to life and provide new ways of remembering and interacting with the past. Imagine having a conversation with a historical figure like Martin Luther King Jr. or Mahatma Gandhi, for example, or reconnecting with your departed loved ones through their digital likeness, a compassionate companion offering comfort and learning opportunities. So Anima Sentio endeavors to create empathic digital humans capable of replicating the personality traits, speech patterns, and emotional nuances of historical figures, deceased individuals, and living subjects. Now, I know the question that each and every one of you is thinking about is ethics, and I'll get to that. So these digital representations transcend mere replication. They are being investigated and developed to facilitate meaningful, emotionally resonant interactions with our users. So the technology pillars for Anima Sentio are ethical integration of large language models and conversational AI. Now, tools in this industry overlap, right? But for me and the research that I'm working in, it is about solutions. As individuals, we always want a solution to a problem which we may have now, or we are worried is going to come. So that's what is forming the basis. The foundation of our digital human technology is built upon intricate conversational AI frameworks, harnessing state-of-the-art LLMs, such as NVIDIA's Avatar Cloud Engine, or ACE, GPT-4, Cloud, and more. These cutting-edge systems enable instantaneous context-sensitive exchanges, empowering virtual entities to comprehend and address intricate queries with proficiency, craft responses that are emotionally attuned, and tailor communication methods according to user inputs. We also look at nuanced voice cloning for authenticity. We are now working with NVIDIA's NeMo and other advanced voice synthesis technologies to generate lifelike voices that effectively capture. Unfortunately, this morning NVIDIA pushed an update which broke it, so I had to revert the prototype back to the previous model. That doesn't sound like me or as authentic as me. So, as you saw in the previous slide, for the sake of IP protection, I'm using a digital representation of myself. So, emotional animation sequencing obviously comes through Unreal Engine 5's real-time animation capabilities through the integration of liveling and motion capture. Surely you've heard a lot of previous speakers talk about that. And we intend to implement and animate digital humans to have expressive facial features. Because whenever we speak to somebody, whether it's a known person, a friend, a relative, or a stranger on the street, we look into their eyes, right? And the saying goes, the eyes are the windows to the soul. So Anima Sentio literally translates to feeling the soul. So that's where the emotional nuances that the facial muscles make, that we are not actually looking at somebody or their facial movements, it's our peripheral that's registering in our mind. And that's how we find, oh, all right, you're smiling, so I'll smile back at you, all right? Contextual body gestures, amplifying emotional conveyance through appropriate postures and movements, and emotion adaptive animation, generating dynamic sequences that evolve in responsive conversational context, which again add a lot of value for therapy and education, as well as personal connections, right? So what do I mean by personal connections? Therapy and education, we already see it working in, but personal connection is where our research is working in. And that is, a lot of people post-COVID are suffering loneliness. We have friends on social media, but we don't know anyone, right? So to bring that compassion back into each other, that's where it helps a lot of people, or we hope it will. The ethical implications of these digital humans present a moderate amount of challenges, particularly when replicating historical figures of deceased individuals, our loved ones. Now, some people get freaked out whenever I ask them, what if you could have your grandma, grandpa, mom, dad right there that you could speak to, and they would respond the way they would if they were here, right? That's a personal ethical question. We cannot answer that. Only each one of you can. However, this research emphasizes the necessity of exercising extreme caution and ethical mindfulness when adopting these technologies, advocating for, sorry, I've missed my slides, so humor me here. I'm trying to keep on time. Here. This research emphasizes the necessity of exercising extreme caution and ethical mindfulness when adopting these technologies, advocating for data protection and privacy through advanced data encryption techniques to safeguard all interactions. Before anyone asks me the question, I'll answer what we are using. We are using the NVIDIA data encryption technology. Why? Because I don't do coding. Last I did was about 25 years ago. So if you give me 3 months, I'll find a semicolon in the code that is throwing an error. I'm an artist. Transparency and consent by clear communication regarding the AI nature of all interactions to cultivate trust and uphold privacy boundaries. Emotional responsibility, the digital human entities, especially those conceived as empathic companions, must operate within stringent ethical frameworks. And that is where our research is looking into, the integrate. These guiding principles ensure that our simulations will serve as effective tools for educational purpose, emotional support, and interpersonal connections, all while preserving ethical integrity. Thank you. So what are our future directions? Expanding the boundaries of this empathic AI system. So Anima Sentio has successfully developed an operational prototype, which I'll fire up now. However, the research trajectory continues to evolve. The forthcoming advancements will concentrate on custom voice sampling. Obviously, if somebody wants their loved one to be brought back from history, the estate would have to give us permission. What happens to the data ownership? The data ownership belongs to that estate, not to us. Will we keep a copy? Absolutely, we will keep a copy, because if somebody has got their loved one designed and their voice cloned, they may want upgrades. So only to that access. How will we protect it? It will be protected on NVIDIA cloud systems, and their encryption is what we would be using. Are we there yet? No, we are not there yet. Hopefully in spring 2025, we would be able to deploy that. Advanced computer vision. So we are now working as of this week, we have already started integrating computer vision. So the digital human will be able to see all of you and actually understand if you're smiling, or if you're angry, or if you're thinking. What if you're ignoring my digital human and walking past? Guess what? We have NFCs. It would say, hi, whatever your name is. Hi, Candace. How are you doing? How's your day going today? Right? So that's what we are looking at integrating now. And emotionally adaptive narratives, we're crafting more sophisticated, context-sensitive emotional responses to foster a deeper user engagement. So if you're smiling, the animation sequencing that we are doing would actually respond in the same manner to reciprocate what your emotional state is. And with that, thank you. And if I can cancel this. Right. And I'll just fire up. And I believe Madeleine and Annie presented a similar presentation earlier. I'm sorry I missed your talk earlier. It is similar to what you are working on, really impressive.
We don't bring back the.
You don't?
But it's fascinating. We have played around with Seance AI in different.
Would you like to do the ones?
You wanna do it?
You know how the system works.
What would you like to say? Can we crowdsource some questions?
Yeah, so this is Light Arch, my gamer tag, designed based on me. And he has been trained on a small portion of my background. You cannot ask it any personal questions about me, unfortunately. He will shut you down. However, he is aware of its surrounding. I've got a statue there, which comes from High Museum of Art. And I believe he should know what that is. There are some deer by the lake as well. And there's a weather system, of course. And he can also access the web, thanks to NVIDIA and everything else, and ChatGPT. So, you know the drill.
Hello, could you tell me a little bit about the statue right next to you?
Hello
there. How can I assist or engage?
Just click.
Okay.
Just click.
I'll click on this one.
Yeah.
Hello, could you tell me a little bit about the statue to the left of you?
Hello there. It seems like you have a
Computers never work when you need them to, right? We only work in emerging technology, for God's sake. That's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, can you hear me?
Not enough. Did you pull down T? Yes.
Speak up.
Hello, could you tell me about the statue next to you?
The statue. It's a marble sculpture titled Jerusalem in Her Desolation, crafted by the American sculptor Burdzy Wetmore Story. This piece caught my attention due to the profound depiction of a mournful woman caught amidst dramatic events, inspired by a biblical passage from Lamentations. I find it adds a touch of contemplation and history to my creative space.
How has your day been so far, and why do you look a little sad?
My day been a mix of highs and lows. Sometimes, reflecting on art like the statue,
Fun being a
it
professor.
especially with its powerful themes. But I'm always eager to engage and brighten the mood. How has your day been?
So he actually thank you so much. So that was my quick presentation. Unfortunately, I did not have a lot of time to put it together. I put it in 45 minutes this afternoon. So if any one of you wants to indulge in trying it out, you're more than welcome. If not, thank you so much. And
So we did it. I cannot believe, I've been like, rolling over in my bed going, how am I gonna get these people to stay on 10 minutes each? And so, and also 9 golden nuggets of amazing content, really. And Joel gets an A. These conversations can continue. I think Peter's right. I think we should make this a monthly thing. So start preparing your talk right now. Keep it at 10 minutes. But, you're welcome to hang around here. I'm going over to By George, which has drinks. So it's basically it's up the road, Park Place, and it's a hotel. And it's called By George, is at the bottom of the hotel. So you walk up this way and then it's to the left. And what I'm thinking is that the bar is on the right, but there's a big room on the left and we should hang out in the big room on the left.
to the Candler Hotel.
Oh, Candler Hotel. I thought you were gonna say I'm gonna pay for everybody. And if you all don't know Brennan Dicker, he's the executive director of the Creative Media Industries Institute. But this was super fun, and thanks for your rapt attention.
Can I get a selfie with everyone? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good AXR?
Right here. All right, everyone, say something. Technology, AI. Make sure I get everyone that too. All right, thank you guys.
Okay, so hey, Rel, let's go get a drink. Thank you for hosting. You're the one.
Yeah.